Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Cahill and welcome back to my channel. The first month of the year has officially ended, so today I'm going to give my January writing recap and talk about all of my plans for February. I'm very excited about this because not only is it the accountability I think I need in order to keep myself, writing for the entire year, but I can also let you guys know how my whole new writing routine of doing 1 hour a day is working for me. I'll do that first because I also want to go over my writing stats with you guys, which I'm very excited to see. So, beginning of the year, I set myself a goal of writing for 1 hour a day. No word counts or anything like that. I'm not going to be focused on that specific issue at the moment because that's just gonna, freak me out and make me anxious because I'm not hitting the right amount of goals. But it was basically to focus on writing for 1 hour a day, whether that was reading through my old work or brainstorming, drafting, anything to do with for the projects that I needed to do, I would count towards my 1 hour. In January, I wrote for 27 out of 31 days, which also includes my mandatory 4 hours a day for my writing retreat Wednesdays. I'm actually super surprised I managed to keep this going as much as I did, and I am actually really surprised that for a majority of the weeks I wrote for more than 5 days. Like, I would consciously choose to work for an hour on like the 6th day as opposed to not writing because I had already written for 5 days. Most of the days that I wrote, I had been at work and I really truly wasn't bothered to get any work done. But when I work 5 days a week and I still manage to write for 5 or 6 days a week, I think I did a really good job of managing my time and managing my motivation on those days where I wasn't quite feeling up to it. It helped also that I had a wide range of projects in a wide variety of stages. So when I really wasn't bothered to, say, rewrite some of Abingdon House, I would reread some chapters of Project Body Swap. And even though sort of reading through what I've written and sort of redrafting and revising those chapters feels like less work, which isn't the point, it was still work. And I managed to get into this mindset of it is still doing something. Like, you're not being lazy or unmotivated just because you are only reading through these chapters as opposed to physically doing some writing. Towards the end of the month, which I got a little freaked out about, but it was okay in the end, I did start finding myself getting a little bit more distracted during those days where I, really wasn't that bothered to do some writing. I would, during that hour, get distracted. And can I honestly sit here and say that I focused for the entire hour every single day? It's a bit iffy on that, I'm going to be completely honest. But I would do things like work through the breaks between Pomodoros or do a little bit of extra work after the Pomodoros had finished to sort of compensate for the however long it was I spent scrolling through TikTok or checking my emails or just sitting and staring at my screen. Just, I don't know what it is that I need to do next, but I know I need to do something. So all in all, yes, January was very successful. It is the most successful consecutive days of writing that I have, I think, ever done in my entire writing life. And it's just so much fun, and I have to show you. It is just so much fun seeing my calendar for the month. Every sticker is 1 hour or 4 hours on Wednesday, successfully writing for. And I also made a note to write down how many tasks I completed for each of the weeks as well, which isn't something that I really want to focus on tracking. Basically, as part of my whole writing routine, yes, I have to write for 1 hour a day for a minimum of 5 days a week, including the 4 hours on Wednesday. But I also have 3 tasks, or I planned 3 tasks that I want to complete within that week. It's finish this scene of this project, finish this chapter of this project, read through 2 chapters of this other project. And surprisingly, I did a lot more than 3 tasks each and every week that I wrote, which is good, I guess, because I'm getting through projects quicker than I thought I would. but I don't want that to sort of start becoming something that I find myself focusing on. Like week 1 of January I did 7 tasks, and week 2 I did 8 tasks, and this past week that's just gone, for example, I did 5 tasks. I don't want to find myself going, I only did 5 tasks compared to the 9 tasks I did last week, I'm failing. Like, I don't think that's what's going to happen, but I also sort of know that somewhere along the line my brain's gonna start saying that, and we just want to avoid that sort of pressure. You know, I want to avoid thinking of those tasks as progress rather than just the hours spent writing. I'm using an app this year called Focus To Do, and I want to see how long I spend using this app to track my writing. I think it's such a helpful tool for me, especially because not only does it time my Pomodoros for me, so I do like 2 30-minute Pomodoros with a 5-minute break in between, is what I've set it to. You can set it to however long you want your Pomodoros to be. It also tracks how long I spend on my projects, the tasks that I complete on my projects. It helps me just get a really clear view of where I am in my projects, what I have done, and it sort of helps me feel better about myself and what I have achieved, rather than just looking at the stickers in the book, or rather than just thinking to myself, oh, I did a really good job today. Like this app is like, look, you did a fantastic job. So we're gonna go look at the stats, which I'm very excited to show you. So here's my Focus To Do. If I click on completed over in this corner, it gives me a massive list of every single Pomodoro that I have completed. Anything in green is me completing a task, and it sort of breaks down how long I spent every single day working on those specific tasks that I have in my list of projects. But if I come up to this little one here and I click the stats, it gives me my stats while I've been using Focus To Do, and this is one of the best sort of writing reports that I have ever used in my entire life, because it breaks it down into so many different areas. So for the month of January, my total focus time was 42 hours and 30 minutes. That is how long I spent writing, which equals about 89.3 Pomodoros. We'll ignore this week and today because that is Monday and Tuesday. In total, for the entire month of January, I completed 30 tasks, where really I was only supposed to complete, 3, 6, 9, 12. So I've almost doubled the amount of tasks that I initially wanted to complete as part of my writing goals. Here shows all of the Pomodoros that I have done for every single day of the year and the time I did them. So I can see, looking through the Pomodoro records, you know, the different colours of the different projects that I've picked, but also I can see, you know, what times of day I have done most of my writing. So as you can see, it's mostly 10 o'clock-ish in the morning. That is when after I drop the kids off home from school, before I head off to work, and then the whole cluster in the evening, after I've gotten home from work and I have more time in the day to write. So that is a massive fun thing to do. We have our focus time here in the corner, which you can do daily, weekly or monthly. This shows you how long you spent on each specific task that you have created, from longest time spent, and you scroll down to the lowest time spent. So I completed the task for chapter 6 for Abingdon House in just 4 minutes. And if I scroll all the way up, the scene that I spent the longest working on was the knife vision scene from Osasayoit, which I spent 3 hours and 32 minutes working on. It just breaks it down so much. We've got our focus time goal here, which basically shows you what days that you wrote on. You can change the goal that you want to work on, and it's sort of like, so change it to 3 hours. It sort of changes the bar to how long you spent working towards that goal on each of those given days. We'll set it to 1 hour because that's my goal for the day. Project time distribution, which I think is my absolute favorite. If I click on monthly, it tells me, it shows me, beautifully color coded, how long I spent on each project for the entire month. So Abingdon House was the clear winner with 13 hours and 55 minutes. Osasayoit with 9 hours and 43 minutes. Beneath the Hawthorn Lies with 7 hours and 23 minutes. They Lead the Hunt, which is my witchy YA novel, with 5 hours and 50 minutes. Project Body Swap, which I need to come up with a title with, maybe I'll do that in February, 3 hours and 24 minutes. And Random Tasks, which mostly includes reading Amari and the Great Game and writing my blog post, in which I spent 2 hours and 15 minutes. And if we come down here to the bottom, we've got our focus time chart, shows you the breakdown of what tasks you worked on each and every single day and how long you worked on them for. And then we've got the task chart, which is exactly the same. It just shows you the tasks that you worked on. So the 18th of January was my best day. I did 5 tasks completed in that day, and it's just I love it. I love it so much. So yeah, Focus To Do is absolutely helping me keep track of my writing and sort of helps me visualize in a very colourful way, because I work best with colour, exactly how I'm spending my time and what I am spending my focus on. And if there's any projects I feel like I'm lacking a bit of focus on, I can maybe decide, you know what, I'll work on this project a little bit more next month, or I'm spending too much time on this project, let me just scale that back a little bit. Hopefully my motivation and remembering to use Focus To Do every single day is going to keep going, and I'm super excited to see what my stats will look like at, say, the end of the year. One of my tasks this month was to decide on my project that I want to start querying this year. It was a toss-up between Abingdon House, which is my middle grade fantasy series, or Beneath the Hawthorn Lies, which was my YA fairy fantasy book. That's a standalone. After a lot of umming and ahhing and sort of trying to think of how happy I am with the project that I'm writing and where I am within those projects and how feasible I think it is, I will have the motivation to 100% completely finish the books. I have decided, there we go, because it was a decision that I had to make. I've decided that I'm going to start querying Abingdon House this year. I've worked a lot more on Abingdon House than I have any other project, which, you know, shows how motivated I am to actually get this rewritten with all of the changes that I want to make to it. So Abingdon House is for the win. I am very excited to be querying that. I think it's going to be a very good book to query. How I'm going to pitch it and all of that remains to be seen. That's not something I'll have to worry about until March, April time, when those tasks pop up in my writing to-dos for the month. But yeah, Abingdon House it is. I am going to have to actually find betas for that soon as well, aren't I? Before I start the actual query process, in case there is anything that I've missed in the rewrites. And that's going to be a chore in and of itself, but there we go. Now moving on to February and the plans I have made. Once again, using my writing planner, my mock bullet journal for the year, which is very helpful at the moment. I'm gonna take a quick break to show you the setup that I have for February, and then we'll come back and talk about all the plans I have to do for February. I find it really funny that I brought this because I didn't want to have the hassle of setting up a bullet journal each and every single month. Yet here I am for January and February decorating this book like I am setting up a bullet journal every single month. I don't know, I guess it was just the thought of having to do all of the weekly spreads rather than the fact that I like decorating books. It's nice and calm and relaxing, and I don't think I'm going to stop doing it. So this is the setup that I have. It's a nice garden theme this time for February. We just have a very simple washi tape sticker set up there. The spreads I've included are my favourite lines from my novels to keep me motivated as I go through and revise everything. Obviously my books to read is in February as well, and every book that I read is going to be written on one of the spines of those books. And then because my goals are to come up with more YouTube videos and blog posts, just 2 very simple spreads for those as well. There's 3 main goals that I have for February. One of them is my query task, which is to compile a list of agents that I want to submit to. I think it's May that I've got planned out for the year, which which is always a massive chore, because not only do you have to go through the list of agencies to see who, you know, wants to accept middle grades and fantasies or children's books, you've then got to go through all of their agents and think, oh, okay, so is the agent who is, you know, looking for middle grade, looking for the type of middle grade that I am writing. So that's going to take some time before I'm happy with a decent sized list, hopefully between 20 and 30 that I can send off to. I can do that throughout the entire month, so it's not something that is on a massive deadline for me, which makes it a little bit easier. I want to start planning ahead with YouTube and blog, so I'm going to be sort of culminating a list of YouTube video ideas and blog ideas, maybe, you know, TikTok ideas as well, I guess, and sort of get those going. And if I sort of plan ahead a little bit, I can sort of get myself mentally prepared for these specific videos that it is that I want to make, rather than sort of sitting down one day go, I want to film a video, but I don't know what video it is I want to film, and then just being like, you know what, I don't know, I'm not going to. We want to avoid that as much as possible. My book for the month is Nevermore, which is here, The Trials of Morgan Crow. There's going to be 2 middle grade books in a row that I have read this year, which I'm not sad about. I mean, I am sort of in the middle of revising Abingdon House, so the more middle grade books I read while I revise that is really only going to help with pacing and how much detail and plot and substance I need to put into the book. I sort of realised while I was revising Abingdon House, I'm sort of thinking of it too much as a YA, as in all of the details that I would put into a YA book, I was putting the same into Abingdon House, where there's a lot of things that aren't important, that 12-year-old kids don't care about, that I could cut or summarise, rather than having an entire scene dedicated to it. I could just have a couple of chapters, I could just have a couple of paragraphs. So yes, let's research with more middle grade books. Thank you. 12 books a year that I'm planning to do. Reading for 1 hour a day as one of my mandatory goals for Wednesdays is definitely going to help with that. One of my other goals for February is to start live streaming again. We'll see how that goes. I'm supposed to be cultivating a live stream schedule, which is going to be really, really easy to do. But then also I think to actually start live streaming. But again, we'll see if we actually get to that point. Notice that I don't have any physical writing goals. There is a reason for that. I don't want the stress of a deadline for anything. I don't want to have to sit there and go, right, so I want to do 6 chapters of Abingdon House this month, or I want to do 7 scenes of Beneath the Hawthorn Lies. We're just going to stick with the 1 hour a day and the 3 tasks each and every week, and then, you know, if I need to set up an actual deadline for something because I have some querying to do, I can see that happening in the future, then I'll set up a deadline for that and sort of just focus on that one project for all of the hours, instead of sort of rotating through the different ones that I'm bothered to. It's been a good month, which I'm very, very happy to say. What I'm doing is working, and all I can hope is that it continues to work for me for the rest of the year, so I can finally feel like I am actually putting a decent amount of effort into my goal of becoming a published author. So fingers crossed. That's everything for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know how the first month of the year went for you writing wise, and I will see you in my next video. Good thoughts and happy writing.